Gal.
Missed the last train. Need to book an Uber. Bloody hell, no Wi-Fi. Oh, I guess I'm staying up all night. Oh, I'm too old for this. Out drinking late in Japan? Stay safe and be prepared. Get Wi-Fi coverage across Japan and Google where to go. Rent a mini Wi-Fi router or eSIM with Ninja Wi-Fi. Trusted by 21 million customers worldwide, Ninja Wi-Fi provides great service for an affordable price. Visit ninjawifi.com and use the code GAL for 20% off.
この番組はグランドスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Okay, we are back. It's part of Summer Games Fest announcements, and I liked Summer Games Fest this year. I thought it was kind of hype, not too hype, but there were some things that I wanted to be announced and some things that didn't really get announced. We didn't see Persona 6, which is fine. We got to see Persona 4 a little bit, which I did mention on the previous episode, so that wasn't necessarily an announcement. We knew it was going to come, but yeah, there was a lot of new things that came out and a lot of new things that I was like, okay, let's see a little bit more of this. A lot from Bandai, a lot from Square Enix, and some from Koei, which is quite interesting. But yeah, before we get into it, let's jump into our disclaimer. For you new folks, GALP is a weekly gaming discussion podcast under the GALP Podcast Network. We talk about all sorts of games from big AAA titles all the way to awesome indie games, but our forte is Japanese games, so expect that a lot. We can be found anywhere where you listen to your podcast, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now on YouTube. Whilst you're there, be sure to give us a 5-star review. And remember, if you want to join in on the fun, then follow us on all of our socials. That's Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, and X, all at GAL Podcasts. Okay, so we had Summer Games Fest, we had the Xbox event, and we had the Sony State of Play. I can't remember what was announced at what, so I'm just going to go and talk about like the stuff that I thought was really interesting. I will say this, at all three events, for me, as someone who loves JRPGs, I think the State of Play was very strong for JRPG gamers. I know a lot of people complained about it. A lot of people were like, oh, what is this, all these Japanese developers? Sony is a Japanese company at the end of the day. It is to be expected that we'll see some Japanese devs, which makes sense, right? A lot from Bandai, a lot from Square Enix, and some stuff from Koei as well. So there was some really interesting stuff. I mean, we are kind of going to talk about it a little bit, so let's get into it. At the State of Play, we got to see 007 First Light, a new James Bond game from IO Interactive, so the developers of Hitman, revealing a young James Bond. So it's kind of like a prologue story, which is actually pretty interesting. So pretty interesting. Marvel Dokkan Fighting Souls, a new tag team fighting game. I believe it's 4 versus 4 from Arc System Works, the same guys that brought you Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball FighterZ, as well as a lot of incredible fighting games. They also did Persona 4 Ultimax, which is pretty cool. One of my favorite fighting games of all time. In collaboration with PlayStation Studios and Marvel Games, that game is going to be coming out in 2026. From what we know at the moment, it is going to be a Sony exclusive with a PC port as well. We don't know if there's going to be crossplay. We don't know if there's going to be rollback. We don't know if there's going to be any of this, right? It's still early days, but it looks really cool. It's kind of got an anime art style to it. If you look at Iron Man, he kind of gives off mech vibes, which is pretty cool. So from some of the characters that we've seen, it looks like it's going to be covering all of the Marvel universes, right? I believe we saw Doctor Strange, we saw Star-Lord. I don't know if we actually did see Doctor Strange, but we did see Star-Lord. We saw Iron Man, Spider-Man, Storm from the X-Men, as well as Miss Marvel. So I was going to say Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. So we got to see a bunch of different characters and how they interact in this 4v4 setting, which is kind of insane. I don't know if it's going to be one health bar. A lot of people are speculating that it's going to be one health bar across the 4 characters, because I did mention that you can use these characters as support characters, or you can kind of just switch between them to fit your playstyle as needed. So you don't need to use all 4 characters. You can just use one, which kind of leads me to believe that it is going to be a shared health bar, which is actually going to be very interesting. Alongside that, Sony did announce the Project Defiant, which is the first wireless fighting stick from Sony, which is pretty cool. Actually, it looks pretty nice. I've made my own fight stick before. I was about to update mine for the PlayStation 5. It's got like a universal fighting board in there, soundbar buttons, stick, and everything. It's like legit parts. And I built it myself. And it is kind of clunky because it's made out of hardwood, but it's literally one of my favorite projects that I've ever got to work on. And yeah, thanks. Shout out to Sven for actually helping me make that. He did all the woodwork. and I basically did all the electronics, which was still fun. It was a nice project to work on. But yeah, I don't know why I'm mentioning that. I think probably because of fighting games. But yeah, speaking of games that you can use an arcade stick with, Ninja Gaiden Rage Bound, a new trailer for this Metroidvania game releasing in July, so next month. By the end of July, it's going to be released. This one is not actually being published by Koei. I'm not getting press releases from Koei. So it's being developed by the Game Kitchen and published by .emu. Yeah, it's a 2D action platformer. So if you've played the old school Ninja Gaiden games on the NES, then this is like an updated version of that. Because it's very interesting how Ninja Gaiden is, because there's been a separation between the fans that are old school fans of Ninja Gaiden, so the people that have played on the NES, and fans that were sort of old school fans on the original Xbox, right? With Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox, which is very interesting. So you kind of got the Ninja Gaiden fandom being split into two. And it's really nice that Koei's giving their IP out again. They've done this in the past and it didn't quite work out with Ninja Gaiden Yaiba. Unfortunately, I think that game even tanked the studio that worked on it. It was a horrible game. And I think it's very rare because not many people have copies of that game anymore. You can still get it on Steam, but like at least physical copies is very hard to come by. But yeah, Ninja Gaiden Yaiba sucked so badly. This game looks very interesting. It looks like old school Ninja Gaiden. It's even got remakes and remixes of original tracks from Ninja Gaiden, the old school tracks, which is very exciting. And I'm hoping we see the Ninja Gaiden series sort of split off into two, where we get regular updates and regular sort of sequels to games like Ragebound, but also get sequels to the 3D style of Ninja Gaiden games. I think that would be really beautiful. It won't necessarily bring the community together, but it will be very, very lucrative for Koei to do that and to sort of give it off to another developer, because these developers, from the gameplay that I've seen so far, these developers know what they're doing. And the fact that they're not leaving it in Koei's hand and they're just kind of giving the IP out is a fantastic thing. I think more companies should do that, especially with IPs that they're not using anymore, aka Marvelous. They need to do that with Senran Kagura. I know I'm going to say this all the time, pretty much in every episode. They need to pass off Senran to a company that knows how to make hack and slash games if they don't want to deal with it or be associated with it directly anymore. Like what Koei Tecmo is doing with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is really cool. It's a really cool game. I'm looking forward to playing it when it comes out. I don't know if I'm going to play it on Steam or if I'm going to play it on Switch. I kind of want to play it on Switch and see if there's a Switch 2 version of it. If not, even if there's not a Switch 2 version of it, I just want to play it maybe on PS5. Let's see actually what consoles it's coming out on. It's like pixel art and stuff. It's a beautiful game. Okay, so it's coming out on Switch, PS5, PS4, Steam, Xbox One, Series X. I'm hoping there's a Switch 2 port. If not, I'm going to play it on the Switch 2. Hell yeah. But yeah, it looks really cool. That was one of the games that was shown off. It wasn't necessarily announced there, but it was shown off there. Romeo is a Dead Man, a new ultra-violent science fiction game from Grasshopper Games, Suda51. Expect that in 2026. There was also a lot of other games as well. Silent Hill F, a new Silent Hill game set in 1960s Japan. We've got Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. It's a remastered version of the classic strategy RPG. I believe there were some rumors around it. And what's really cool is on that one game, you'll get an enhanced version of the game as well as the classic version. So you can switch between art styles and I'm presuming music as well in one package. And that's something that I really love to see in remakes and remasters, where you can actually go back to the old art style. There's so many games like Advance Wars 1 and 2. I was a little bit annoyed by it that we weren't able to go back to the old school artwork and art styles and pixel art and stuff like that. So it's really nice to see that Square Enix is actually doing that, while other developers don't do that necessarily. But it's really cool to see. So thank you, Square Enix. We're looking forward to playing it. In recent times, I've kind of been getting into strategy RPGs, and maybe back then I wouldn't have played this game. I mean, when this game came out, I was 3 years old, so I didn't own a PlayStation 1, but I'm excited to get back into it. I'm genuinely excited to get into this game and to enjoy it. And you know what? I might even play the original. I've got my PS1 with me. I might find an original copy and play it before the game comes out and sort of generate hype a little bit and give you guys my thoughts on it. Another game that I'm actually genuinely hyped about is Neo 3. It is a new installment from Team Ninja. The demo is available now. I believe it's only available for a month. So by the end of the month, the demo is going to be gone. If you complete the demo, I believe you get bonuses as always. And yeah, this game is set in the Sengoku era. So it's focused on Sengoku Jidai, which is very interesting because the previous games were kind of referenced on that as well, because you had characters like Nobunaga Oda and Yasuke and things like that in the previous Neo titles. So it kind of follows that again. It looks pretty cool. It genuinely looks really, really good. And I don't know what's going on with this game because Koei is giving us press releases. We do not know at this current time whether it's going to be published by Sony or not. I have a feeling that this game is not going to be published by Sony in Europe, at least. It does have the Sony Studios logo on it in the trailers and stuff. But the fact that Koei Tecmo is dealing with art assets and things like that, and the fact that it's getting a PC release at the same time as console release, leads me to believe that Koei Tecmo somehow got publishing rights for this, or maybe Sony doesn't want to publish it. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to take on publishing on it. I don't know. But this is a Sony exclusive for now. Obviously, I think we got the other Neo games. I'm not sure. Did we get the other Neo games? So we didn't get any of the Neo games on Xbox. It's been an exclusive. Are we going to see like Team Ninja continue with Wolong as their sort of Xbox exclusive? Although Wolong was also released on the PS5 as well. And I think really Microsoft, looking at their event, maybe they're not really into exclusives anymore, which is very interesting. I don't think I've seen any exclusives at their event. And yeah, also they've got Ghost of Yotei, which is a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima, which is set in Yotei, Mount Yotei in Hokkaido, in the northern part of Japan, the pretty cold part. That should be very interesting as well. Also, I think that's done by Sucker Punch Studios, I think. Also, new DLC for Astrobot, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. As well as some announcements from Bandai, Digimon Story, Time Stranger, a new trailer for the RPG, as well as a October 3rd release date. There's a lot of other games as well that are being published by Bandai, but not really published by Bandai, if that makes sense. Like Bandai doesn't want to put their full name towards it. So they're indie games at the end of the day, but it's not like they are being published by main Bandai. And normally you'd see this sort of games be published by D3 Publisher, but at the same time, it's like D3 Publisher only works on like weird ecchi games. So yeah, they have like smaller Bandai studios that deal with indies. And as a fact, I'm actually not getting press releases from main Bandai. I'm getting them from like indie press teams, which is very cool. So it's really nice to see that Bandai is supporting the indie space. But you know what? I think it's part of Bandai's strategy, because Koei Tecmo once said that they want to be the biggest entertainment company of all time. And guess who currently owns that title? Bandai Namco. Literally, they're such a huge company. They do like anime, games, toys. Bandai alone is like worth a lot of money as a brand, as a toys and the merchandise in general, films. They finance a lot of like films as well that maybe is not even anime related. But besides the point, that I think was the most exciting stuff to come out of the state of play. I was pretty excited for it. Don't get me wrong. I think the most exciting things for me was Marvel Tokon, as well as Final Fantasy Tactics and Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. The next day, we got to see Summer Games Fest announcements, which are pretty cool. We'll go run through them quickly. Resident Evil 9 Requiem. And a surprise release, which is quite interesting because they had basically said, hey, the game, you got to hold on. Literally in the event, they were like, yeah, you got to hold on a little bit more. We're not ready to announce the game. And then bam, literally the one more thing was Resident Evil 9, which was pretty cool. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Resident Evil. I'm not a fan of horror games in general. I'll watch horror anime, but horror games I'll not play because they're too scary, guys. I'm not a fan. Sonic Racing, I am a fan of. Cross Worlds, a new kart racer for the Sonic franchise, and it's featuring all our favorite characters, including Hatsune Miku, Ichiban from Like a Dragon. I'm hoping we get Kiryu. I'm hoping we get Kiryu Kazuma. Well, I'm hoping for it. And Joker from Persona 5, as well as Minecraft Steve. The game is going to be releasing in September 25th of 2025, so not long to go for that game. Those characters, Miku, Ichiban, and Joker, are going to be as free characters for the game as they drop. And it looks very interesting to me. I think it's sort of it's like competing with Nintendo, you know, a little bit with Mario Kart World. And I don't want to say much about Mario Kart World. I do love it. I want to do a dedicated episode on it. I'm actually interested to see what Sonic Racing Cross Worlds brings to the table, especially when you get more of these wacky characters. That's one thing that I was missing from Mario Kart World. I was hoping that we would see more crossovers, as in like, you know, I want to see Link from Legend of Zelda, and maybe Zelda even, or like, you know, the characters. I want to see more characters from Zelda. I want to see characters from Pikmin. You know, I want to see characters from Animal Crossing even. So I wanted Mario Kart World to be the Smash Bros of kart racing. And you know what? It looks like Sonic Racing is going to be like that. So GG Sonic Racing. Code Vein 2 was also announced. I had never played the original Code Vein. It might be time for me to play it, but you know, yeah. But let's see what other games were available. Onimusha, Way of the Sword. Capcom provided a new trailer for the game. It's still on track for a 2026 release. One game that I thought was really interesting was Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver. What is this game? Why is the Wu-Tang Clan making a game? Don't get me wrong, I'm all for it. It looks like an excellent hack and slash game, and it's going to be filled with music. You know what? And I have a feeling that this is going to have a lot of copyrighted music. So this game, there might be an issue streaming this game. And that's what I'm a little bit worried about. Unless they produce original music for the game that's sort of tied to the game, if that makes sense, or give streamers a pass to like stream the game freely without any sort of copyright strikes and stuff, because that would kill a game on launch. Imagine streaming a game and just it all gets copyright striked because it's all Wu-Tang Clan music. So I don't know. I'm excited because it's always nice to see more hack and slash games. We didn't really get to see much gameplay, but from what we saw, it looked great. The art style looked fantastic, and I'm actually very intrigued. I think this game is also getting a PC only release, which kind of sucks. They need to bring this to console. And yeah, I need to get my hands on it because we love it when there is a new hack and slash game. Yeah. And another game that I'm actually very excited for, Stranger Than Heaven. You guys might know this as Project Century from RGG Studio. And yeah, it is set in 1943 in Japan, which I know previously Project Century was set in like 1915 or something like that. But yeah, this is basically set right before the end of World War II, which should be very interesting to how you kind of interact with characters in the game. And I don't know, it's giving Yakuza vibes, but this is a brand new IP, so I don't think it's going to be related to Yakuza in any way, but the gameplay looks very reminiscent of Yakuza. The fighting styles and things like that is very Yakuza-esque, or Like a Dragon-esque actually. Let's end off with Xbox Games Showcase. Just happened now. It's how we're gonna round off Summer Games Fest, and we got some really interesting announcements and some more gameplay. Ninja Gaiden 4 looks bloody amazing. It's going to be released in October 2025. We love it. But this game is being published by Microsoft Game Studios, so I don't know if Koei Tecmo is actually publishing it. I believe Microsoft is going to be dealing with that, and my issue with that is when Microsoft deals with games like that, especially this is a Koei game, yes, it's only partially being developed by Team Ninja. It's not fully Team Ninja developed, mostly developed by Platinum Games, the developers behind Bayonetta. So it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic, but I am just worried that it's not going to get into as many reviewers' hands, and Microsoft are not necessarily going to be reaching out to the Ninja Gaiden creators out there and the community that have sort of supported Ninja Gaiden series. Maybe Team Ninja might, but I don't think Microsoft is going to be doing that directly. And personally, I say this because I don't think I'm going to get code for it. But bear in mind, this game is going to be Game Pass day one, so I'm going to be all for it. I will be playing it on Game Pass, and I'll be giving you my review because I'm a big fan of Ninja Gaiden series. You know, I love Ninja Gaiden Black 2, and I'm going to be playing a lot more Ninja Gaiden up to Ninja Gaiden 4 for its release. Another game that looks very interesting, Beast of Reincarnation from Game Freak. It's a game that's sort of set in post-apocalyptic Japan. There's mechs in it and there's monsters in it, and it kind of gives Wild Heart vibes a little bit like Wild Hearts. But yeah, I don't know what this game is going to be. We don't really see much gameplay of it. It looks like it's going to be an action RPG, maybe a Souls-like game. The most intriguing part is that this is being made by Game Freak, the people that are well known for making Pokemon. I didn't know that Game Freak make other games, but clearly they do. I'm looking forward to seeing this get released on all consoles and PC, obviously not the Switch. Another thing that is also quite interesting from the Xbox showcase was Age of Mythology, which is, I believe, an expansion for Age of Empires, I think, focusing on Japanese mythology, which is pretty cool. As well as the announcement that Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is going to be available on Xbox, as well as Final Fantasy 16. To be fair with you, are people really going to be playing it on Xbox? I think they should have done this as a Games Pass title, because if you wanted to play this game, you would have already played it on the PC and you would have already played it on the PlayStation. I kind of feel that a lot of Final Fantasy fans, knowing that they're fans of Final Fantasy, would have already bought a PlayStation, even if they're not necessarily Sony fans. they would have been like, I'm going to buy the console that I know I'm going to get releases for and support for. This seems like it's almost too late, and I don't think it's going to do well on the Xbox, to be fair with you. I think the people that have already wanting to play Final Fantasy are going to play it. I have already played it, and newcomers may not want to even play this game unless it's on Game Pass. So I'm hoping it goes to Game Pass. We'll have to see though, because if Final Fantasy 16 actually releases on the 8th, which is the day that I'm recording, 8th of June. It's pretty cool. So yeah. And finally, Persona 4 Revival. I've already given my thoughts on Persona 4 Revival. I wish there was more hype behind it, but you know, what can you do? And I'm hoping we see more at TGS. And now saying that, that was Summer Games Fest, I guess. I will be doing a Nintendo Switch 2 episode focusing on little bits and bobs about Nintendo Switch 2, what I've thought about it so far. I've only had a day with it, as my Switch came on Saturday. It didn't come on Wednesday like a lot of people had it. I bought mine last minute. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Remember to follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky. Let me know what you guys think. And thank you for listening to this episode of GALP.